The Senate on Thursday passed the sum of 234 billion naira for the Independent National Electoral Commission ahead of the 2019 general elections. Now, the figure is part of the 189 billion naira requested by INEC to conduct the 2019 general elections, and 45 billion naira provided for the commission under statutory transfer. Now, the lawmakers approved that the 189 billion naira be varied from both recurrent and capital components of the Special Intervention Program captured in the service-wide vote of the 2018 Appropriation Act. Now, the Senate, however, did not approve the budget for security agencies as requested by the President. However, what has played out is the Senate virement from the Special Intervention Program fund marked by the BUHARI administration for social intervention projects. Having approved INEC's budget, the Senate is now consulting further with security agencies in order to facilitate the approval of their own budget. On Nigeria Today, we shall take a critical look at some of the issues arising from the Senate's actions, its approval of the elections budget sum, and likely implications of its actions and inactions. I'm Blessing Abu. Welcome to the program. With me in the studio to take a critical look at the 2019 elections budget and matters arising, I would like to welcome Mr. Jide Ojo. He's a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good evening, Nigerians.
Joining Jide on set is Mohammed Kabir Usman. He's a senior special assistant on strategy, planning and research with BUHARI Campaign Organization. You're welcome, Mr. Kabir.
Thank you very much.
Okay, gentlemen, at least first thing first, what do we make of this recommendation passage of the virement in the election budget? Well, everyone has their own feelings towards that, but let's get your own outlook to it. Sojo.
My take on this is it's late in coming, but better late than never. As an election expert and somebody who worked in this sector for over 2 decades, I do know for a fact that election budget should not be unduly delayed. Knowing full well that many sensitive and non-sensitive materials needed for elections are not picked on the shelf. In many instances, they have to even be, they are gotten from abroad, because many of the election supply companies are not based in Nigeria. Even our ballot papers are not printed within the shores of this country. But it hasn't even gotten to ballot papers. We are talking more about processes and procurement processes that needed to be observed. Recall that INEC, as one of the institutions of government under the presidency, is not in any way exempted from Procurement Act. And, you know, Bureau of Public Procurement procedure still needs to be satisfied. And in doing that, we are just 120-something days to elections. That's barely 4 months. Yeah. And in this, the procurement processes can actually take 6 months in some instances, unless there are waivers. And I will not call for waiver, because the only way by which you can you can have value for money, in which case you are not, you know, a lot of people are saying, oh, INEC budget on this item is padded or something. It is Bureau of Public Procurement that can say whether it's padded or not, because they will cross-check the amount being bidded for that item vis-a-vis what is obtainable elsewhere. Now, if we pass the budget late, or if we make the funds late for INEC as it is appearing now, there are a lot of backlash that it can have on the preparation for the elections. INEC needs, as at 2-3 months ago, the chairman said they needed about 27,000 smart card readers. And these smart card readers, they will need to procure softwares to input on them. There are other things that they needed to prepare for the elections. And in all of this, when there is undue delay, because even as it is now, the passage, the environment that has been approved, there is a contention to it.
Exactly.
And that contention is that while the president in July said, okay, pass this, give me this approval for environment, but this money should be taken from the constituency project fund of the National Assembly.
Welcome into, yes.
They are now passing the ball part to the president and say, no, look for it elsewhere. This can further delay preparation for 2019.
I'm going to let Mr. Usman take it off from there, because I don't know if either of you are experts in fiscal policy as well. But how simple or complex is this whole aspect of or process of environments, and especially its impact now from where it stopped? So take a look at it from this other part, constituency project. Now they make a U-turn, we'll use that word, to get into the special intervention program.
Thank you very much. It's funny, let me put it this way. Funny in the sense that if you are approving, it's just like you are approving a plate of food, but without, if it's rice, there's no stew there. And you're asking me to do what with it? So it goes, there's an apparatus, an addendum that is attached to this, and no one works without the other. Especially like the security budget. INEC cannot do anything without security. That is that aspect. Then you are telling the president to look elsewhere. Where? Where do you want? And you are now talking about the social intervention. Is it the poor masses that they are used to this already and you want to hold the government hand not to do that? Then why your own, what do you call it, the constituency project? Who are you doing the constituency? Your own pocket or the same masses? So with that, if you look around, it means they have not spoken their mind. There's something that is hidden, and for the sake of the masses, we the masses, we want the government. For instance, if you are asking, or we that we are the masses, if you say distinguish, they have to act just the distinguished that they are called. And that means you have to behave honorably so that you don't play politics with human life. You don't play politics with human life. I mean, these are, just like you say, you are saying that they should go and take the money from pensioners. They should use this pensioners' money and give to INEC. I think that is not acceptable. And then that is politics, and with such politics, it's a very dangerous politics.
All right, so let's get back to seeing what other way the lawmakers could have done this differently from what we're seeing in terms of recommendation now. I'm still going back to the question about the simplicity or the complexity to environment issue. Maybe take time to break it down for at least for better understanding.
For me, Blessing, the issue is actually that the two arms of government are complicit in why we are where we are now. How do I mean? INEC gave notice of the dates of election on March 9, 2017. March 9, 2017. That's almost 2 years before the next general elections. And further gave a timetable and schedule of activities on January 9, 2018. Sure. Now, we know our debacle with the budgeting processes. Shouldn't the presidency has included the budget for election with INEC's budget for 2018? Or split it, get part of it for 2017, in 2017 budget, and a part of it in 2018 budget. But let's assume that, okay, as at March 9 that they came up with the dates for the election, the 2017 budget has been presented in December 2016. So why did we not factor the fund for 2019 election into the 2018 budget? That will have taken care of this issue of environment. That will have taken care of the issue of even the need for supplementary budget, because these things are even being reported wrongly. In the papers you will read about supplementary budget for INEC. No, the president said in his communication in July that he is not going the way of supplementary budget because the 9.21 trillion budget that was passed is too huge to even implement. Don't forget, 2-point-something trillion out of that money is being, there is a borrowing plan before the National Assembly to go borrow to fund the capital part of their project. So why should we not have done the right thing at the right time? Because if this had been taken care in the budget proposal for 2018, we will not need to start talking of environment, let alone the controversies around where should the money be taken from. I think for me, the way out is a win-win solution.
In what way?
You have 500 and something billion. What's it called? Constituency project fund, where the president wants the money taken from. You can take 50% from there, take short for 50% elsewhere. And now, while you do that, you can sponsor a supplementary budget. I don't know whether you get me. But the INEC will not wait for supplementary budget, because as it is now,
it's not even ideal.
It's not even ideal. The budget is too big for us to be talking of supplementary budget, knowing full well that right now we do not even have the funds to execute the current one. The good news is that at least the oil price has increased but we must not forget to save for the rainy day. So right now, why I blame the presidency and the National Assembly is that it should not have escaped the eye of the Minister of Planning and Budget to say that, INEC, where is your budget for 2019? Even if it's estimate, because every budget is estimate. We cannot be saying, oh, we didn't know specifically how much we will need. If we had, let's say, from the last general election, we knew how much we spent on that, and the projection can be made.
There are other already concerns also about this budget for election come 2019 already being about $50 million higher than what was spent.
Exactly. So we could have done that projection and factor it into the budget. Maybe that would have even sent signal to the National Assembly members who increased their own constituency project by about 4,000. I think they added quite a number of constituencies which were not part of what the president submitted. Maybe by the time they have seen, if they have seen the size of the budget as at November last year, when the president submitted on November 7, that look, we need to fund the election, then they would think less about their own constituency project, because at the end of the day, where do you even fund the money to fund that constituency project? I understand it's about self-interest. They want to run election, they want to go back to the parliament. Many of them have not won the ticket of their parties, so unfortunately. But they need the constituency project to show the people that while I was there for 4 years, this is what I brought to.
Okay, Mr. Osman.
But the question, the concern there is that you are right. They need the money. But would they go and win election without INEC? Would they create their own INEC by themselves, or would they bring themselves to the assembly? They really need the INEC first. Constituency project can wait to any time. The moment you are there, then you start your project at any time. But what cannot wait, and that for the safety and security of this nation, is INEC. For INEC to postpone election for 1 day, we knew what happened in 2015. So INEC cannot postpone election, and because you have to go back to the constitution.
Well, I'm sure there are no indications that we're going to be having any postponement.
Well, but of course, the money has to, they need to provide that. And if you are talking of, just imagine, you are asking of constituency projects, and you are talking about INEC, which is more important to them. The constituency is more important than the election. So in that case, and without the election, you will not be the senator that you want to, that you are. Now you are talking about constituency project for the, but all I know is that it's politics and the way of frustrating the government. It's deliberate.
Well, let's see the views from the street, because we actually spoke to some. Okay, I'm told we don't have that at all. But we'll take a break now. When we'll return, definitely, apart from what has been approved or recommended, there are other aspects which is on the security part of the budget as well, which already you talked about when we took your first salvo. You're watching Nigeria Today, and our focus is on the 2019 election, budget, and matters arising. We'll be right back after this time out. Yes, welcome back. If you just joined us, the program is Nigeria Today, and our focus is on the 2019 elections, budget, and matters arising. And my guests are still seated. Jide Ojo is a public affairs analyst, and Mohammed Kabir Usman is from the BUHARI campaign organization. Gentlemen, we know these are different parts, and part to what is being tabled before the National Assembly. You have your concerns already about how the process are dragged or still dragging and what the outcome will be. Implications or days on the polity is our concern as well. Mr. Usman.
Yeah, the implication, the worst is yet to come. The worst is that less than a few days now, you don't be surprised if the National Assembly are going back on recess. Don't be surprised. And that is out that what they are out to achieve, we don't know. And but thank God that they are able to tolerate this regime this much, because ask any president of this country that the National Assembly will pass any budget for you without Ghana must go. Ask any past president. It's only this regime. And because if you are fighting corruption, corruption must fight back. And because the president is not ready to do any deal, this frustration must come out, and because it's come out, the people who suffer it is the masses that will go to meet on the street asking them for your vote, telling them you are the right party or you are the right person, but you are holding the meal, just one square meal that the government has allowed for the first time in history of Nigeria for the masses to have access to it. You say that should not happen. Yet you go back to them, constituency project, not 5% of it that the masses get from it. They buy cars, buy houses, buy things overseas, yet that is more important than the election, the INEC money. That is more important than the masses. It's a pity.
Oh, well. Already you took a look at aspect of possible supplementary budget, or well, this is might not be considered, and also there are other concerns to the environment. Now, the realities are there. The people's fears must be allayed that we must have a credible process of election come 2019. And how do we begin to rejig all of this, gain the public confidence, as well as have the process of democracy still on course?
Well, again, action speaks louder than voice. Whatever we say, what matters most is that we must safeguard this democracy. We must not allow it slip into anarchy. And you see, we have been lucky thus far. 5 consecutive general elections have been held as at when scheduled. Not exactly on the date initially scheduled, but at least the year. And we have not failed to have inauguration on May 29 since 1999. That's commendable. It's the first time we have this length of time of civilian rule. And we must safeguard that. We cannot toy with it, because now we have participatory democracy. And that's why I am not happy with the way and manner the presidency and the National Assembly is handling the issue of funding for the elections. What is the whole essence of giving 2 years notice if we will still find ourselves about 120 days to election, we are still debating where to source the money for the election? It's like there is no political will on the part of the people in authority to have this election conducted as a when scheduled. And the danger of that is that, like you alluded to, there is low, it sends the wrong signal to the average man on the street. It portends, it's ominous, because people will tend to see that, okay, maybe we are trying to orchestrate a Congo DR option, as it happened in Congo that Joseph Kabila have to postpone election for 2 years. Now they are fixed December. We don't know whether it will still happen in December. 2 years down the line. We can't tolerate that in Nigeria. Election must hold as at when due. And because we are trying to deepen democracy, it is important. One part of the pillar of democracy is routine periodic elections. Now, there was an issue before we went on break. You were talking about the vote for security agencies. Yes, we cannot toy with that. Look, we have seen that elections without security is no election. If we fail to fund the security agencies to provide and secure the electoral environment, no INEC staff will venture out. In fact, they can't even move voting materials from their RAC, Registration Area Center, to the polling units without police escort. So if there is no provisioning for police, for security, for DSS, for army, how would they police the the personnel and the materials to ensure that people even will come out to exercise their franchise? It's very key that we lay this whole issue of funding for 2019 election to rest. I must say that the president is a victim of his own transparency. In time past, we never even get to know how INEC or security agencies are funded for the election. It's the first time we are having this. But we must not make a mess of eating egg. We can do better than what is currently playing out. I know it's politics, high wire politics, but should we allow politics? This is about governance. It should not be about politics.
So what do we see happening in the coming days? Because yes, already, my next question has still gone to the aspect of security, because we'll have, okay, this is one part of it. The next part, definitely, even though they're trying to shelve aside for now, but of course they had already looked in the fact that maybe in the coming days, their legislative sitting or plenary, they will take a look at that. What do we see playing out?
Yeah, INEC without security is a rigging strategy, because no more rigging, and we know those who are expert in rigging. Security will not allow you to rig. If the National Assembly do not release the fund or no budget for security, then the election would, okay, for the sake of having an election. Or if you say postpone it, they say the president is postponing election because he wants to perpetuate himself in the office. So with this, whatever we are seeing, the good thing is that the masses, the people on the street, they know who is the court. Government, the State House the presidency have been begging National Assembly even to return to just pass the INEC. And they refuse. Now to pass it, they pass it haphazard, so that they will now say they've passed it, and the president, no president will not endorse any nonsense. So based on that, they will now find a way to push the blame on the government that the president refused to do this. They have done their own. I'm telling you today, just in the next 1 week, you will hear another bombshell that they want to go on research again to close the place down. I'm telling you, I'm telling you. I'm a politician now. We interact with ourselves. That is to their own strategy.
What do we see moving forward for INEC? This is a very heavy moment. Let me, for lack of word to use now, to actually get it right, because already fingers are there that will INEC get it right this time around. What kind of improvement are we going to be getting beyond what we did in 2015? What is the greatest dilemma for INEC now?
A lot. I'm just coming from a conference where we were looking at how to have peaceful elections. And the point is, I stressed at that event that, look, election is a multi-stakeholder process. It's not even an event, it's a process. Look at what the political parties have done with their primaries. I mean, have they made the INEC job easy or more difficult? As it is now, every aggrieved contestant will go to court and join INEC, as if it's INEC that conducted the primary. But they will join INEC because INEC is the one that will be that will receive the list of nominated candidates. So if there are going to be 10,000 petitions arising from the shenanigans that played out in the last few weeks over party primaries, INEC will be joined in, and then that will be distraction. And that has a huge cost element, because INEC will have to get lawyers to represent it and defend its interest in court. Why must we be doing this at all times? Professional politicians must ask themselves, if it's all about service to the country, should we be doing this to ourselves? Should we not be putting the country first? Electoral integrity is very key. It's very important. We must ask the right questions as we prepare for 2019 elections, because this is all our aspirations, lash onto. You reward a good government by re-electing it, you vote out a bad government. And this is opportunity for inclusive governance process. So for me, the needful have to be done. We have to think through and think out of the box. A solution, we can have a win-win solution to this whole challenge. It is the right political will that is needed.
Last word, Mr. Usman.
Yeah, I am in support of. That's exactly what we should look at with human feelings, the mind and the honesty. Forget about the smartness, who is smarter at this, because we need to sustain the democracy that we all sacrifice for.
All right, thank you very much. That's our program, Nigeria Today for today. We appreciate you, Mr. Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst, and also Mohammed Kabir Usman, Senior Special Assistant, Strategy, Planning, Buhari Campaign Organization. Thank you for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having us.
And many thanks to you for joining us this evening. We hope to see you again tomorrow on the program. My name is Blessing Abu. See you again.